We know the story at this point. On January 6, Ashli Babbitt, Air Force veteran, was shot and killed during the U.S. Capitol riots. But new documents obtained by Judicial Watch through a Freedom of Information Act request shedding some light on the incident. In nearly 500 pages of documents, witnesses recount the events, stating that Babbitt was unarmed at the time of her death, and the officer who shot Babbitt was visibly upset after pulling the trigger. According to Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton, these previously secret records show there was no good reason to shoot and kill Ashli Babbitt. The Biden-Garland Justice Department and the Pelosi Congress have much to answer for over the mishandling and cover-up of this scandalous killing of an American citizen by the U.S. Capitol Police. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, joins me now to break it all down. Tom, good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Buck.
So just please walk us through what these documents, hundreds of pages of documents about this shooting incident, which we were told Ashli Babbitt was a threat, apparently. She was rioting, but that she was a threat to members of Congress. It never really seemed to be clear what the specific lethal force justification was, other than we were told it was justified somehow. What do these documents make clear?
Well, there are a few things. That no one saw that she was armed. She obviously wasn't armed. They found a penknife in her pocket, which obviously has nothing to do with anything. And as importantly, or even more importantly, the evidence strongly suggests that Captain Byrd, I think his title is, didn't issue any warnings to her. That she just was shot. Now, there's one witness who said he heard Byrd issue commands, but he didn't hear what he was saying. So, that really doesn't count for much. So you have this woman crawling through this space that she wasn't supposed to be in. There's no doubt about that. So the question is, were the rules followed in a way that where you are trying to de-escalate, or you take initial steps to prevent and to defend the space without resorting initially to deadly force? Not seeing there's any evidence that was taken. And, they can pretend they did a serious investigation or a serious analysis of this, but given the way this Justice Department and prior Justice Departments have investigated and pursued other officer-involved shootings, and the way this Congress has pursued and highlighted officer-involved shootings, the secrecy, the stonewalling, the fact that we had to sue in court to get access to these records, and we still don't have all the records. There was no good reason for the shooting, and B, Nancy Pelosi should be held accountable for how her officers handled this situation, which resulted, in my view, in the needless death of an American citizen.
Does it make clear in these documents what the lethal force, what the specific lethal force justification is supposed to be? From what I've seen, they said that they had an investigation and that it was justified. But are they claiming, Tom? Do we know, are they claiming that unarmed 120 or so pound or 130 pound female Ashli Babbitt coming through a door was a threat of lethal force to members of Congress or something? What are they claiming? It doesn't seem to be clear to me as somebody who's followed this pretty closely.
Yeah, as you're reading through the documents, you see a lot of, after the fact rationalizations and some of the questions and the answers. Obviously, the officer was upset about the shooting. There's no doubt about that. The question legally, in my view, is, did he commit a crime? And then secondly, did he, break the U.S. Capitol Police rules and regulations and training protocols in shooting her as he did? And, there's really no evidence they looked at that in any serious way or, analyzed it as carefully as they did. And the other big question raised by the documents is, what was the Justice Department asked to do? Maybe they were asked to prosecute by the investigators and they declined. I don't know, because we still don't have all the documents. We sued the Justice Department separately for their decision-making here on the handling of this shooting death. My concern, look, let's cut to the chase, Bob. You had an unarmed woman, a veteran, shot. And it was pretty clear, based on this evidence, there was no warning given before she was shot. And you have to wonder, and I say this rhetorically, if her shooting death investigation was handled differently because she was a Trump supporter, engaged in the wrong type of protesting or the wrong type of activity, that otherwise is treated quite differently if she was there advocating for something else and for the right politician.
Now, you said you've sued separately, Tom. I want to know where does your organization, or do you just know where it stands in the process now in general of getting access to more of the footage? My understanding is that the Capitol Hill police, who are in charge of security at the Capitol, are not releasing a lot of footage that they have, video footage of what happened that day, which to many people seems quite strange considering the severity, they tell us, of the threat that was posed. Recently, we saw some footage of people kind of milling about aimlessly in one part of the Capitol, which led many to believe perhaps, and there we have it up there for you. There's a couple of people that are breaking, they're hitting a door. There's others that are kind of wandering around. Why don't we have access? I mean, isn't a public record. Why can't we see everything that happened that day? Why can't we know?
Well, I get two answers to that. The first answer is kind of interesting. The DC police suggested there is video that they would give to us. They didn't have, quote, the money, though, to handle or process the video. So there's some weird budget excuse for not giving it to us now. But they said there is material that we might be able to see that I would presume previously hasn't been seen. Secondly, we sued Congress for those videos, and they've taken the legal position that they're not public records subject to disclosure. So we're in a federal court battle now with Nancy Pelosi and her police department over access to videos. The same video, videos from the day that we're told was the most important and worst day in American history. Yet they're hiding this basic information about what happened that day using all sorts of excuses. I counted 9 or 10 reasons why we weren't allowed to get the video. So they're desperate to keep the video away from us. And, we asked for the ability to question people. What do you mean they're not public records? Give us some more information. Let us get some evidence about this. They don't want us to take any evidence. So, this 1/6 investigation, it's weird how it's just focused on targeting their political opponents with threats of jail as opposed to disclosing factual information about actually what happened that day. And again, Judicial Watch is doing more to do that work than the hack politicians on the Hill, and specifically that abusive Pelosi 1/6 Select Committee.
Yeah, speaking of hacks, Adam Schiff tweeted out, we've said it before, we'll say it again, we're not messing around. People with relevant information to our investigation in January 6th must comply with lawful subpoenas. If they don't, we will use all the tools at our disposal, including criminal contempt, basically threatening to have people arrested for not showing up to Congress, mentioning specifically, I think they have in mind at least, specifically Steve Bannon and Kash Patel, who is a friend of this show. We'll have to come back to that one with you another time. But as always,
they want to jail people, and they're looking for excuses to jail people by suggesting that opposing or under which the law allows you to do, objecting to a subpoena means you go to jail.
Outrageous.
They're looking for Putin for governance advice. It seems to me there on the Hill. It's terrible.
Well, Tom, we appreciate what your group here, Judicial Watch, has done to get some of the truth out there, and we'll have you back on again soon to talk more.